Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. So today I'm going to be breaking down the Irish paper. But first I want to say, if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm pumping out 2 videos a week during Leaving Cert, so please, I'd appreciate if you could support the channel and try and help me grow. And if you're not already following me on other social medias like Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, link down below, I'm active on all of them. So let's get into the video. Okay guys, so I'm going to open a disclaimer. First off, not a professional, this is just my opinion on the Irish Leaving Cert course, considering I'm not a Leaving Cert student. Also, I have already done the Irish paper, but deleted it because I made a good few mistakes in it and it just wasn't right, so I'd rather put them up and have them done right. So this is me redoing it, so we'll start now. So we're going to start with paper 1. Paper 1 is broken down into 2 parts. It's broken down into the Clues Discussions, which is 60 marks, which is 10% of your paper, and the Ceapadóireacht, which is 100 marks. So the listening there's 3 parts to it, and each part you kind of listen to, and then you get a series of 2 listens of each part, and you just kind of answer as you go along. Ceapadóireacht, you got a choice between writing an essay, story, or just kind of an argument about a certain point. I know our teacher recommended us go towards the Ashta, which is the essay, because it's a little bit easier to write about, kind of very broad. Like some of the topics you can talk about is like music is very important to young people, people in the Irish and the Gaeltacht in 2018, you know, stuff like that. Very broad things that you can kind of open up on. So not a bad thing to talk about if you've kind of got a broad enough vocabulary. So that's paper 1. Like the Ceapadóireacht is 100 marks and the Clues Discussions is, like I said, is 60 marks. So Clues Discussions 10% of your paper, nice 60 marks. And then Ceapadóireacht, that's one thing that's underestimated. I think we do not practice enough, or we don't practice enough anyway, I don't feel. Then for paper 2, it's broken down into, paper 2 is broken down into 4 parts. So part 1 is reading comprehension. There's 2 reading comprehensions. Second part is your study story. Part 3 is your study poetry, and part 4 is your extra literacy, or whatever kind of extra bit you've studied. So the Leaving Cert, there's 2 of them, and they're worth 50 marks each, which is 100 marks. Again, very nice marks, as in they're not that bad if you really practice them. So they're nice easy marks you really should be picking up. And again, they're nearly 17% of your paper, so nice marks you should be picking up. And then for the prose, it's worth 30 marks. So you answer a question based on your study poetry. We're studying 5 poems. Great thing is about it, you don't have to learn off any quotes because you're given the poem on the day. So what I can continue was 2018 on Spalby Fána came up. So again, you either know it or you don't. Then for the story, Cockmillish came up, and on Las Aquilia, again, we study Cockmillish, so obviously I talk about that. And I try and cover as much as possible under each, and then hope on the day that it comes up properly for you. And then last one is your extra literacy, and Untitled came up, so we've studied Untitled. So obviously I was in the 2018 paper, I do Untitled. So then the extra literacy is 40 marks, the poetry 30 marks, the stories 30 marks, and then obviously the reading comprehension is 100 marks. So now I'm going to talk about how I personally break down the paper. So personally what I've done is I've split this up for my own study, so that I kind of give everything equal attention, because in the beginning I was just studying poetry and stories the whole time because there's so much content there to learn. I was kind of getting a little bit I was letting it get a bit overwhelming. But if you look at the mark, it's only worth, like, the poetry is only worth 5%, and your poetry worth 5%, and your story's worth 5%. So it's not actually worth a massive amount of marks. So like, again, like, don't prioritize that over anything else. Like your listening is worth 100 marks. So like the way I've broken it down is I've broken down to strap pictures. So that's for your oral. Your oral is worth 40%, which is 240 marks. Strap picture, where you describe a series of photos. Reading comprehension, which I do in study click, so I go through and do each of them. Kind of that'll be a session of my study. Poetry, obviously I'm going through all the poems and poets. look at reading through the notes, trying to get a good grasp on it. Story, same thing, reading the notes, kind of seeing whether I can break it down to my own words. Oral questions, just kind of going over key vocab for the oral and stuff. Listening again on study clicks is an absolute lifesaver. I know you have to pay for a premium account, but I can't advise it more. It saves so much time and effort, honestly. And then the ashtas like this. We have the book on Funtas Nua, and we're on Funtas Nua, and I just kind of read through the ashtas and kind of learn the key vocab. So they kind of have all the kind of topics that could come up covered. So that if you learn those vocab, kind of know the ash as well, you should be okay to write about it. And I think with practice that comes as well. One thing I want to do is I want to every weekend either write, like try and at least write. I think I start doing a capital work once every couple of weeks. Try and start practicing that, so come June it'll be kind of second nature to write them. And I can't again underestimate doing listening and reading comprehension. It's really helped me anyway, because the same kind of pattern comes up every year. You kind of get good at sifting through the reading comprehensions and finding the answers. Also with listening, you become more tuned to listening to Irish, which is essential. And then finally, any tips that I have or I've been told for the Irish Leaving Cert. The main thing is just don't overdo it on the poetry and the story, because it's not, at the end of the day, both of them together is 10%, which isn't a massive lot considering the amount of content you actually have to learn. So don't get too bogged down on it. Don't forget your oral, make sure you learn to draw pictures, and the capital, like for your oral is worth 240 marks, and you get a good percent of those marks just reading out a poem. So don't look over that sort of stuff. Nice easy marks, because people look over them and then end up losing them in the long run because they've overlooked how quote unquote easy they are, when you still need to put a bit of time into it. So so just make sure you keep practicing every element of the paper, and then come June you should be all good to go. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Been working hard here to keep 2 videos a week during Leaving Cert, so if you want to watch other ones, click on the channel, go into Road 520, and I've got a series of other subjects broken down like this. I've got all my social media linked down below. Go follow me there if you have any other questions. DM me or comment below. We will see you on Monday. Goodbye, Relive.
Carried away. Tell you I've heard enough, but every time is